I always believed family came first. Growing up with my sister Amanda, 4 years younger than me, we were close despite her competitive nature. I found true love with Sophia 6 years ago, and our life together has been everything I could have hoped for. When Amanda announced her engagement to James, we were thrilled for them. Then the gold-embossed wedding invitation arrived with only my name on it. No +1, no mention of my wife of 3 years. That moment changed everything about how I saw my family, and forced me to make the hardest choice of my adult life. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know in the comments where you are watching from, and do not forget to subscribe if you want to hear more stories about family loyalty being put to the test. Growing up in suburban Boston, I always felt responsible for looking after Amanda. Despite the 4-year age gap, we were close in our own way. She was fiercely competitive, always trying to outdo me in everything from grades to sports, but I never minded. I simply chalked it up to being the younger sibling wanting to prove herself. Our family vacations to Cape Cod created some of my favorite memories. Building sandcastles with Amanda, teaching her to body surf, and watching fireworks on the beach during 4th of July celebrations. Those were simpler times before adult relationships complicated everything. Our parents, Richard and Diana, were loving but had certain expectations. Particularly, they expected me to always be the bigger person whenever conflicts arose. If Amanda and I fought regardless of who started it, I was the one expected to apologize first. My father would pull me aside and say, "Eric, you are older. You need to set the example." This pattern continued well into our adult years. I met Sophia at a dinner party hosted by our mutual friend Tyler. She walked in wearing a blue dress that matched her eyes, and I could not look away. We talked all night about everything from our favorite books to our dreams for the future. Sophia worked as a pediatric nurse, and her compassion for others was evident in everything she did. Our connection was immediate and undeniable. After dating for 3 years, I proposed during a weekend trip to Maine, and we married in a small ceremony with close friends and family. Amanda attended alone, claiming she was between boyfriends at the time. She was polite to Sophia during the wedding, but kept her distance. Sophia and I bought a small house about 20 minutes from my family home. We created a life filled with weekend hikes, game nights, with friends, and quiet evenings planning our future. We talked about having children, agreed to wait until we were more financially stable and focused on building our careers. 3 years into our marriage, Amanda announced her engagement to James, a marketing executive she had been dating for about 18 months. My parents hosted a celebration dinner at their house, and Sophia and I brought champagne and a gift basket we had carefully assembled, with items that represented their relationship. Throughout the evening, I noticed Amanda being subtly cold towards Sophia. When Sophia offered to help with dessert, Amanda declined without making eye contact. When Sophia complimented her engagement ring, Amanda merely nodded before turning to show our cousin. I dismissed these behaviors as pre-engagement jitters and focused on celebrating my sister finding happiness. 2 months later, the wedding invitation arrived. The gold-embossed envelope was addressed only to me. No +1. No mention of Sophia. I read it 3 times, thinking I must have missed something. Sophia looked over my shoulder, her expression shifting from curiosity to hurt. "Maybe it is a mistake," she suggested, her voice quiet. "You should call Amanda." I nodded, still staring at the invitation. "Of course it is a mistake. They probably just printed these quickly. I will call her right now." I dialed Amanda with confidence that this was simply an oversight. The call started friendly enough, with Amanda excited about her wedding plans and the venue they had secured. About the invitation, I said casually, "You forgot to include Sophia." The pause that followed lasted too long. "Actually, Eric," Amanda replied, her voice cooling, "we have capacity limitations at the venue." We had to make some tough decisions. Capacity limitations. How many people are you inviting? About 175. And what is the venue capacity? Another pause. 200. So there is room. I can pay for Sophia's plate if that helps. "It is not just about the money," Amanda said, her tone defensive. "It is about our wedding vision. James and I want certain people there who are important to both of us, and my wife is not important." My voice rose despite my attempts to stay calm. "I did not say that. Do not twist my words. Look, it is our day, and these are our choices. I hope you can respect that and still be there for me." The conversation ended with tension hanging in the air. I hung up feeling uneasy, suspecting something else was behind this decision. Sophia put on a brave face, telling me I should attend regardless, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. My suspicions grew stronger the following week when I saw on Facebook that Amanda had invited her college friend Tara and Tara's boyfriend of just 6 months. Then my cousin Thomas texted me about bringing his girlfriend to the wedding, despite the fact she had never even met Amanda. The final confirmation came when I learned that the venue capacity was indeed 200, and Amanda was inviting 175 guests. There was plenty of room for Sophia. This was deliberate exclusion, and I needed to understand why. I decided to confront Amanda in person at our parents' Sunday dinner. I figured she could not evade my questions with our parents present. I was wrong. When I brought up the invitation issue at dinner, Amanda immediately became defensive. "I already explained this to you, Eric," she said, cutting her chicken with unnecessary force. "We had to make tough choices. But you invited Thomas's new girlfriend," I countered. "Someone you have never even met. That is different." "How is it different?" "Explain it to me." James shifted uncomfortably beside her, but said nothing. Our parents exchanged worried glances. "I just do not want her there, okay?" Amanda finally snapped, throwing down her napkin. "Is that clear enough for you?" The table fell silent. My mother cleared her throat. "Eric, honey," she started cautiously. "I am sure your sister has her reasons. The important thing is that you be there for her special day." I looked at my father hoping for support, but he just shook his head slightly silently, asking me to drop it. The familiar pattern of enabling Amanda was playing out again. "So everyone is fine with my wife being deliberately excluded from a family event?" I asked, looking around the table. "It is not a family event. It is my wedding," Amanda shot back. "And I get to decide who attends." "You know what, you are right. And I get to decide whether I attend. Right now, I am thinking I will not," my mother gasped. "Eric, you cannot miss your sister's wedding." "Watch me," I said, standing up. "If my wife is not welcome, then neither am I." I walked out, ignoring their calls to come back. In the car, I sat gripping the steering wheel, trying to process what had just happened. My entire family had just made it clear that my wife was somehow less important than keeping Amanda happy. Over the following weeks, the pressure intensified. My mother called daily, alternating between guilt trips and outright demands that I not ruin Amanda's special day. My father's disappointing stance of "just do it for your sister" made me realize how deeply ingrained the pattern of appeasing Amanda was in our family. Meanwhile, Amanda was busy spreading stories to extended family and mutual friends that Sophia and I were being difficult and making everything about us. People began taking sides, with most defaulting to supporting the bride. After all, it was her day. Sophia and I found ourselves increasingly isolated. Friends who had never met Amanda suggested that maybe I should just attend alone to keep the peace. Only a few people truly understood my position, that this was about respect for my marriage, not simply an event invitation. Late one night, about 2 weeks before the wedding, Sophia and I had a heart-to-heart conversation in our kitchen. She sat across from me at our small breakfast table, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had long gone cold. "I want you to go to the wedding," she said quietly. "This is your sister. You will regret missing this day." I reached across the table and took her hand. If she cannot respect my choice of life partner, then she does not respect me. I cannot pretend otherwise even for one day. I do not want to be the reason you lose your relationship with your sister. You are not the reason, I assured her. Her actions are the reason. I need to stand by you because that is what marriage means to me. After that conversation, I wrote a heartfelt email to Amanda, explaining my decision not to attend. I expressed my sadness and disappointment, but stood firm on my principle that my wife and I were a package deal. Family events that excluded one, excluded both of us. Amanda never responded directly. Instead, I received angry messages from my parents about loyalty and family obligations. The wedding day approached with mounting tension. On the day of the wedding, I ignored dozens of texts and calls from family members. Instead, Sophia and I took a day trip to a coastal town we had been meaning to visit. We tried to focus on each other rather than the event happening without us, but the weight of the situation hung over us. Around 8 in the evening, my phone rang. It was my cousin Thomas calling from the wedding reception. "Dude, you would not believe who is here," he said, his voice slightly slurred from wedding champagne. "Who?" I asked, not really caring. "Michael Anderson. Is not that your wife's ex from college?" My blood ran cold. Michael had dated Sophia for 3 years during college, before they broke up over his infidelity. It had been a messy end to what Sophia had once thought was a serious relationship. "What do you mean Michael is there?" "Michael, who tall guy, dark hair, works in pharmaceutical sales. He and Amanda seem pretty tight. They were just dancing together." After hanging up with Thomas, I opened Instagram and saw notifications from family members tagging me in wedding photos. Scrolling through, I froze when I saw several pictures of Amanda dancing intimately with a man I instantly recognized as Michael, Sophia's college ex-boyfriend. When I showed the photos to Sophia, she was shocked. "Why would he be at your sister's wedding? They never even met when we were together." That night, I could not sleep. Something did not add up. I started digging through older social media posts and found a few photos from years back showing Amanda at what appeared to be a party with Michael in the background. They were standing close, talking. This was before I had even met Sophia. The pieces started falling into place. Amanda had dated Michael before he met Sophia. Perhaps it was not serious enough to mention, or perhaps Amanda had deliberately kept it quiet. Either way, it seemed Amanda had reconnected with Michael around the time of our engagement and maintained some kind of relationship. She had deliberately kept Sophia away from the wedding to hide this connection. The day after Amanda returned from her honeymoon, I waited outside her apartment. I needed answers. When she saw me, her expression flickered between surprise and guilt before settling into defensive anger. "What are you doing here? Come to apologize for missing my wedding. I know about Michael," I said simply. Her face paled slightly. "What about Michael? I know you dated him before he met Sophia. I know you have stayed in touch. What I do not understand is why you would invite my wife's cheating ex to your wedding, but not my wife." Amanda tried to deny it at first, but when I showed her the old photos I had found, her demeanor changed. "Fine. Yes, Michael and I had a thing years ago. It was never official, but it was intense. Then he met your precious Sophia at that party, and suddenly I did not exist anymore. So this was all about jealousy. You excluded my wife of 3 years because of some unofficial relationship from a decade ago." Amanda's eyes flashed with anger. "She took everything from me. Michael was the one person who really understood me, and she swooped in and stole him." I stood there processing this revelation. All these years, Amanda had harbored resentment toward Sophia for stealing a man. Amanda had never even officially dated a man who went on to cheat on Sophia. "Does James know about this?" I asked, referring to her new husband. Her silence was answer enough. "Amanda, this is insane. Sophia never knew you had any history with Michael. She never stole anyone from you. And after all these years, you are still holding this grudge. You do not understand," she muttered. "I understand perfectly. You put your jealousy and resentment above my marriage. You lied to everyone about your reasons for excluding Sophia. And you invited the man who cheated on her to your wedding out of what spite some twisted attempt to reconnect with him." I had come prepared, recording our conversation as protection against her, potentially twisting my words later. Now I was glad I had that evidence. "I want to be clear about something," I said calmly. "I love you because you are my sister, but I will not tolerate disrespect toward my wife. From now on, there will be boundaries. If you want any relationship with me, you need to acknowledge what you did and apologize to Sophia, or what she challenged, or nothing. I will simply not be in your life. And by the way, I think James deserves to know the truth about why his wedding was missing his brother-in-law but included his wife's old flame." The color drained from her face. "You would not." "I would not want to," I corrected. "But secrets have a way of coming out, and marriages built on lies tend not to last." I left her standing there, finally understanding that she might lose not just her brother but possibly her new husband as well, if the full truth came to light. The next step was a conversation with my parents. I invited them to a neutral location, a quiet cafe where we could talk privately. I showed them the evidence of Amanda's past with Michael, and played the recording of her confession. "I cannot believe she would do something like this," my mother said, her voice small. "I can," I replied, "because you and Dad have enabled her behavior her entire life. Whenever she acted selfishly or cruelly, you told me to be the bigger person. You taught her that she could get away with anything." My father started to defend himself, but then stopped, a look of realization crossing his face. "We thought we were helping her. You were not. And now she is a grown woman who thought it was acceptable to exclude my wife from her wedding out of decade-old jealousy, who invited my wife's cheating ex to her wedding to what? Rub it in, reconnect with him behind her new husband's back. For the first time, they did not ask me to smooth things over or be understanding of Amanda's feelings. Instead, they sat in uncomfortable silence, confronting the results of years of permissiveness. "I love you both," I continued, "but I need some distance right now. I need you to respect my marriage and understand why what happened was not okay. I need you to stop enabling Amanda's toxic behavior." Over the next few weeks, I reconnected with the few extended family members and friends who had understood my position from the beginning. My cousin Thomas and his girlfriend became regular dinner guests. My childhood friend Ryan, who had declined his invitation to Amanda's wedding in solidarity, became a source of support. Most importantly, Sophia's grace throughout this ordeal strengthened our bond. She never demanded I cut ties with my family, never said "I told you so," even when she had every right to. Instead, she focused on building our life together and creating new traditions that did not depend on my toxic family dynamics. The 6 months following Amanda's wedding were surprisingly peaceful. Sophia and I focused on our home, our work, and our relationship. Without the constant drama of trying to please my family while protecting my wife, I found a new sense of confidence that spilled over into my professional life as well. Sophia received a well-deserved promotion at work, becoming the nursing director for the pediatric ward. Her dedication to her young patients had always been evident to me, and I was thrilled to see it recognized by her hospital. Then came the most wonderful news: Sophia was pregnant. After years of planning and waiting for the right time, we were finally starting our own family. This joy put everything into perspective. The drama with Amanda seemed less important now that we were focused on bringing a new life into the world. On a rainy Tuesday in April, 6 months after the wedding, a letter arrived from Amanda. Not an email or a text, but a handwritten letter on expensive stationery. I recognized her neat penmanship immediately. "James found out about Michael," she wrote. "Someone at the wedding mentioned our history, and he was devastated. He nearly left me. It made me realize how my actions affect others. I have been seeing a therapist who is helping me recognize my toxic patterns. I know now that what I did to you and Sophia was inexcusable. I do not expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I am truly sorry. If you are ever willing to talk, I would like to try to rebuild our relationship on your terms." I showed the letter to Sophia, who read it thoughtfully before handing it back. "What do you think I asked her?" "I think people can change if they really want to," she said carefully. "But I also think trust needs to be earned back slowly." After much consideration, I sent Amanda a brief response. I acknowledged her apology and suggested that any reconciliation would need to happen gradually. I also made clear that respect for Sophia was non-negotiable. I proposed family counseling as a first step, rather than jumping back into regular family gatherings as if nothing had happened. To my surprise, she agreed immediately. My parents had been making their own efforts to change. My mother sent Sophia birthday flowers with a card that simply read, "Thank you for making our son so happy. We are lucky to have you in the family." My father called regularly, making a point to ask about Sophia's work, and genuinely listened to my responses. Small gestures, but meaningful ones that showed they were trying. Through this painful experience, I learned several important lessons. First, that love sometimes means standing firm when it would be easier to give in. Second, that family is defined by actions, not blood. The people who stood by us during this difficult time proved to be more like family than some of those who share my DNA. I learned to identify toxic dynamics that I had previously accepted as normal. I gained a deeper appreciation for my wife, whose strength and compassion never wavered, even when faced with such deliberate cruelty. Most importantly, I grew in my own self-worth, establishing healthy boundaries that should have been in place long ago. Last weekend, we had our first family dinner with Amanda since the wedding. It was awkward at times, with conversations sometimes stalling into uncomfortable silence. But there were also moments of genuine connection. Amanda asked Sophia about her pregnancy and seemed sincerely interested in her responses. My parents fussed over Sophia, making sure she was comfortable and had enough to eat. As we drove home, Sophia placed her hand over her growing belly and smiled. "That was not so bad," she said. "No, it was not," I agreed. "It is going to take time, but I think we are on the right path. The road to healing family relationships is rarely straight or easy. Sometimes the deepest wounds come from those we love most. But I have learned that standing up for what is right is always worth it, even when it hurts. Family can be rebuilt, but only on a foundation of mutual respect. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between family loyalty and doing what is right? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be struggling with toxic family dynamics. Remember that you deserve respect in all your relationships, and sometimes the hardest but most important thing you can do is stand firm in that belief. Thank you for listening, and I wish you strength in your own journey toward healthy relationships.